So first, let me introduce myself. So my name is Rahul, and I'm based out of AWS Cloud Training, where I take AWS Cloud Practitioner courses, developer, as well as machine learning specialty courses. And moreover, I'm an Cloud plus AI person, where I work on MLOps and Gen AI perspectives. And I'm based out of Amazon, where I been the representative of AWS advocacy team at the part of AWS Cloud Captain. And I've been taking classes for the past 2 years, where been associated with lots of colleges and lots of colleges where I take classes with them, and and I make sure that you also learn something new from your domain. And I would say that what can I say? You can also learn something new from your perspective while you're already here, and that will be another learning perspective. Now, let me give you an overall perspective. What can I say? Why you need to switch your career to cloud, right? I would say that uh, as someone said in the participant, right? So the cloud is blooming nowadays. Yes, it's actually, but because lots of companies and to be more frank, yesterday I went to a conference and one of the tech conference which has happened, and we were just talking with the what can I say um, companies, right? So one of the famous company, I don't want to spell out the name. I was just talking to the hiring managers, and I was also talking to the leading professionals who are working over there. They just put their stall over there, and they just started talking to me, and I just asked them, "So what made you to move to 8Y? Because before that, they don't have anything in the cloud. They are full stack. They do have domains only in full stack, and they do have domains only in backend engineers. But now they are putting much efforts on cloud, and more specifically in AWS and Azure. And they are also now moving to AI plus cloud, right? That's the common way want they are trying to move. And I just asking to them, so what made you to move to the cloud? Why? Because so far they have started the companies long back ago, and I've just asked the question. So, what made you to move to the cloud, and why suddenly you moved your career, moved your job part to the cloud? So the answer is very simple and very logistic. Okay, why? Because they just showed me a graph, pie chart like something else. Okay, they said that since right now they are working in the service type of the cloud, they haven't created any SaaS product in their company. But the thing is all about that the what may I say the current scenario, like how all the companies are moving to the cloud, which made them a lot of impact and a lot of what may I say career guidance towards the cloud computing. And moreover, what happened is that their data is too much huge, like data is too much large, and they don't have enough space to store the data. They already said that in this letting. So not yet. I am not sharing my screen yet. So once I'll share the screen, I'll let you know soon, right? So, and more than that, when I started talking to them regarding how you try to put AWS or put cloud in your particular company, that they just said that we right now we are using migration as one of the major part, and for that migration we are using AWS cloud right now. But right now they are also then they are saying that we are also scaling up to Azure too. Okay, fine. So only migration, yes, I would say yes. Why? Because the migration thing, like what do you say that I've seen a lot of people and a lot of working professionals where I talk to them and I'll get to know about how it's working, right? They say that the first and foremost thing what they work in cloud is nothing but the migration. Migration is nothing but they try to what may I say put the data which is available in the on-premise server to the cloud servers. Well, how they'll do, they'll try to use some of the service and they try to write any scripts like all those things is going to be working on the skills. Okay, so once it is being done and they'll be putting after the what can I say data has been pushed to the cloud, they'll start working on the cloud. Okay, so this is how the cloud is being scaled. So nowadays, even the small startups, when they're starting their own company, they actually put their idea in such a way that they don't want to set up any server, set up any on-premises thing. They want to push to cloud. Okay, so this made much more things all about. what is all about cloud computing. Why? Because I've been very much, what can I say, I've taught these topic to a lot of students, and I've got a lot of insightful answers from them, right? But because when I started to teach and about what is a exactly cloud computing is that it depends upon the what can I say, the infrastructure needs what the company has, what the enterprise has. It depends upon it, right? So now let's see. What can I say? The thing is, let me share my screen.
Rahul, one clarification.
Yes,
So, do we have any similarity between Azure Cloud and AWS Cloud or Cloud?
similarity.
Yeah,
What are you asking about the similarity?
similarity means both clouds are working in the same way, right? Means
Yes,
yeah.
just the name is different. Just the name differs, right? The thing is, let me just give you an instance. Um, in AWS, you have a service called as IAM, which is called as Identity and Access Management, what we're going to see today. And in terms of Azure, you have Active Directory, which has higher, more scalable, higher, more efficient than the AWS IAM. And moreover, if you see the name of the service differs, the concept, the architecture, and the if we on the working style are all the same, right? But I would like to answer the question too. So why you need AWS? Like what made you to choose AWS, right? Why specifically AWS has been much more important thing, right? Okay, fine. Let me share my screen. Right, guys, can you able to see my screen, right? Just give me a quick check so that we can continue.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So before starting, like, what is all about AWS? What is all about cloud computing? Okay. So this question arises to you by because whenever you want to switch your career or whenever you're working in a pre-sales or when you're a student, right? So what is all about cloud computing? It still confuses me a lot, right? So first thing, let's say a company called ABC has been set up and they want to set up their servers, right? They want to store all the data what they need, like the user's data and the user's information, like the name, email address, password, etc., etc. They want to store everything, right? So they need to have a complete setup, a complete infrastructure which is available in their on premises to store everything. Like so, we need another like we need to have a database. So that database consists of all the information which is needed, and the database should be consisting of another backend service which is should be running towards it, running behind it. So it's a complete pipeline where we need to work on it, right? So what is all about? So first thing, what is the issues where we're gonna occur in terms of on-premises infrastructure? You need to concentrate on the resources what you scale up. Why? Because when you're starting to set up your own on-premises infrastructure, like on-premises servers, you need to look into hardware. You need to look at the you need to look at the hardware, right? What are the RAM specificity you need? What is the ROM specificity you need? What is the hard disk specificity? Where the configuration, what you need? The what can I say? Graphic card, chip, etc., etc. Everything what you need to know in advance, and you need to concentrate on all those things before you start setting up your on-premises infrastructure. Then secondly is all about the storage. Why? Because we don't know about how amount of storage what we're gonna have it in, right? Why? Because let's say when we start searching in Google, within an hour, Google search goes enormously large. So we can't able to predict like this amount of storage is gonna be there. So it's still going to be a difficult thing, and still it's going to be an what can I say issue or wherever that how much amount of memory or how much amount of storage is needed for an on-premises infrastructure need to be set up, and all those infrastructure software which is needed. Example, the operating system. Well, because as a part, like if I want to, like I'm having my laptop, and based on my laptop, what I'll do something, but I'll just put my OS, right? So either Windows 11 or Windows 10 or Linux or Mac, etc., etc. So I need to put some resources, right? Because each and every operating system depends upon the infrastructure, the resources, the hardware, what I just put. So I need to concentrate on those things. So looks like there are a lot of things I need to concentrate, right? I need to concentrate on hardware. I need to concentrate on software. I need to concentrate on storage infrastructure. So everything is tedious to look, right? And professionally. Like if you want, like let's say like a company like ABC has been set up a server, and professionally you need to have a system admin or an on-premises admin, where the person who's gonna be designated with the position called a system admin or an on-premises admin should take care of all the resources. Why? Because you have put inside one single box and you have given a room to him. Like you need to have the admin should take care of all the resources. Why? Because you need to monitor the performance, and if there is any malfunction has been happened, he or she should take care of all those actions immediately. Why? Because backend the developers are working based on the on-premises infrastructure what they have. So we need to, what may I say, reflect or recover the actions, recover the issues what has been happened immediately, so that the pipeline of the developer, the pipeline of all those things will work synchronously. So then, literally, so when you're setting up a server, the server should compose of all those things, right? So it should compose of the CPU, should compose of RAM, storage, like storage MB, the data, or many have the NFS or NTFS, and the database. Either we need to know whether we have to store a kind of relational databases or non-relational key value pairs, and the network devices. So we know about how routers work, how switches work, how the DNS server, where we need to have some domain names for the what may I say, for the websites what we are going to create. So literally entire thing which is to be what may I say, for an on-premises server, we are supposed to set them, right? So this is going to be looking at area. So that's what I said. So you can just put in your office, you can just have your data centers. So that data centers will consist of a lot of servers, and these servers will compose of all those things. So looks like a lot of tedious things which has been happening. Am I right? So why? Because for each and everything what we need to set up same thing. Like as a user, as what can I say, as a person who are going to use the resources, I need to look up of all those things behind it, so that only I can able to use the resources. But it's being a very tedious thing. Now, what can I do for this thing? How can I resolve this thing? That's my question. Now, how to resolve this? What may I say, the issues which has been happened in the traditional based computing, and that's where you know the answer for the cloud computing is all about. So far, what I just say is nothing but the server is composed of all those things like the RAM, ROM, and the CPU, storage, either storage in terms of NFS or NTFS file systems, and you do have the relational database or non-relational databases, everything you have. So instead, what is the first thing you need to do in terms of on-premises? You are supposed to make sure to deploy all those things in one particular space. So in terms of on-premises, you need to be aware about these space requirements. Why? Because for spreading up the or for setting up the server in your office, you are supposed to know about the space requirements, what it is needed, and you need to have the manpower. As I said, the system admin should take care of everything at all particular point of time, so that if there is any what may I say, malfunction has been happened, he or she should immediately recover that, so that the pipeline works correctly. And moreover, the cost is all about, you need to know everything in advance. You need to know everything in advance. That is that. So for setting up a server, the setting up one server which consists of so much of RAM, so much of gigabytes of RAM, so much of gigabytes of ROM, so much of gigabytes of storage capacity, and this amount of storage needs. So everything should be known in advance, so that you can buy and you can set up that server. So everything, like the space requirements, like the manpower, the cost is like cost. So it's gonna be a very what can I say, tedious things for each and every IT administrators or IT infrastructure manage people who want to set up these things. But what I say that, if you don't want to care about these things, like the space requirements, you don't want to care about the space requirements, or you don't want to care about the manpower who need to look up the resources, what is being deployed inside your server, and the cost. You don't want to deploy, you don't want to depend upon the cost. What can I say? It depends upon how much resources you do. Then that's where the solution comes, which is called as cloud computing. Fine. So what is all about it? So let me give you a perfect definition of it, right? So once you know about the perfect definition of cloud, and whenever I teach what is cloud to the fellow students, and as well as some of the IT professionals, like just give me the clear-cut definition of the cloud. And most of all the, what may I say, AWS users and AWS trainers, they'll try to put one single word for the definition for cloud computing, which is nothing but the on-demand delivery of IT resources. Well, because most of us, right, and not only whenever I started learning about cloud last 3 years back, right. So I just thought that this is gonna be only of storage. Cloud computing is gonna provide us a storage where where we don't want to depend upon the infrastructure, like it depends, it available in the cloud. But when I started to learn a much depth, right, I went a lot of services, creating about a lot of concepts, how the architecture has been built, how the cloud formation has been built. Then I can able to come to a conclusion that cloud computing is not only the like providing the storage space. Rather than that, it also provides all the IT resources needed for the technological environment, right? So, as I said, the cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute power, database storage, applications, and other IT resources. So, I'll split out this definition. What is all about the on-demand delivery? So, let us say that you're going to be the user, right? So, you're going to be the user and you need some of the resources. So the resources which is being needed on that particular point of time. That is, I'm gonna use the relational database storage which is available in AWS. So which is needed for my particular time. So on that particular time, I can buy it. Like I can use that thing, and how much have consumed, I have to supposed to pay for the resources what I being used. So this is gonna be the what can I say breakthrough between the cloud computing and traditional based on-premises service. Why? Because for the on-premises service, you're supposed to pay and you're supposed to buy everything in advance before using it. But like not like that in cloud computing, you can use but amount of resources what you have used in your use for your application, then you can pay the amount what you have been used. So this is how the what may say the margin between the on-premises thing and the cloud computing thing has been done. Guys, can you just mute yourself? Okay, thank you. Fine. So, and one more thing, as I said, so you're supposed to pay. So, one of the important terminology in terms of cloud is nothing but pay as you go for pricing. Pay as you go for pricing is nothing but you don't want to pay anything in advance what you're going to be using. Let's say you're going to use an EC2 server for deploying your virtual server, right? You don't want to pay in advance. Like for the amount of storage, what you needed for the server, you're supposed to pay, and it depends upon the resources what you're going to provision at last. So that's where the pay as you go pricing, like it just enormously given a cloud computing and another view of it, right? And you can provision exactly the right type and the size of computing resources you need. Like you, for instance, for EC2, or I don't want you to give you another like blindly say the name of the service, right? So, for instance, if you're going to use a relational database, how many tables you need, right? How many size of the computing resources you need, like the number of virtual servers you need. So you can exactly provision this thing. That depends upon you. You're the users. You're gonna choose what is the type what I needed for my application, what is the resources amount of resources needed for my application on that particular point of time. And you can use access as many as resources as you need and almost instantly. And it depends upon that use case what you're trying to solve. If you're going to be using a use case where one need to store the data, then you can use only the services which is being used for the data storage. Data storing is a broad classification. You have lots and lots of services available inside data storing like RDS, DynamoDB, Aurora, document DB, S3, etc. So there is a broad classification of resources what we have, a broad classification of services what we have. So based on the use case, if you're going to have a relational based table where we need to store that relational based table in cloud, then you are supposed to use the relational database services what you have. If you have a NoSQL thing, then you can go for the NoSQL database storage like DynamoDB, DocumentDB, etc. Fine. So it's a simple way, like very important thing, right? Because if you want to access your on-premises servers, right, rather than the cloud servers, you need a lot of permissions, lot of gateways where you need to cross behind. Then after that, you need to after that only you can able to access your servers or storage or database which has been available inside your server room. But in terms of cloud computing, it's very simple, but because the root user where we're going to talk about a lot about the root user. So they will give you a simple way where you can able to access your virtual servers, virtual machines, and you can also access your storage devices. So like the storage part, what you have created, and you can also access your databases where you have set up that for your particular application. Now, the question, why Amazon Web Services? Why AWS? Fine. So I think so. When the meet link has been given to you, or before joining, you have what can I say? Filled the Google form, right? You can able to see an AWS demo batch what I covered for 1 hour. I think so. Where I have said about why AWS is one of the important paradigm in terms of cloud computing and why AWS is being the major backbone. I would say like I'm not taking much things over Amazon Web Services. A lot of like Azure, GCP, and Oracle, IBM, all are having their own cloud services. But AWS is being a backbone, and what may I say, it is being one of the important paradigm in terms of cloud computing providers. It's a third-party cloud computing service providers where lots and lots of companies using AWS as their behind thing. I'll show you some examples of companies where they use AWS as the backbone, where you can able to understand that thing. Fine. Okay. Now, what is all about in your day-to-day life? So you're using cloud services. Yes. So let me ask you a question. Right. So give me some instance, right? In your day-to-day life, you're using some cloud services, right? Can you just name them if you were aware about that? If you're aware about that, you're using that particular cloud service. We can get see what is the chat. Yes, Gmail, Google Drive, okay, Netflix. I would say all the OTT platforms what we have. Yes, Dropbox. Rather than that, because I'm also having the same content over here. So rather than talking to you, I would like to what can I say take much more things from you. Rather than this, rather than the social platform, what social platforms you're trying to say? I can't able to understand like what social platform. Facebook, Instagram, uh, where you can able to say that the cloud services you are using. Are you storing anything? Are you using any of the services provided by Facebook and Instagram? No, I can even understand. DigiLockers, storing your data. Where? Like photos. Where you're storing? I don't know. In terms of Facebook and Instagram, because I won't use Facebook. Yeah, Salesforce, the CRM thing. We have the cloud service CRM. Yeah, I would understand. But because I'm not using Facebook in my thing, but I'm using Instagram. But I don't use. Mhm. Yeah, that save option is available. Yes, I can able to understand that save option is available where you can say that the data has been stored. But rather than that, when I install that application will be available and the amount of storage which is needed for that application will be consumed by my storage only. Yes, okay. Mega Drive, Jarvan Box. Okay. These things I don't know. iCloud. Okay. They are one of the cloud providers. Yes, I do. Yes. They also provide some cloud storage. Yes. Even right now, all the what can you say, mobile companies like mobile device creators, like if I want to say that OnePlus, um, Oppo, everything, everyone, they started to create their own cloud storage. Why? Because the amount of storage what they give is not enough, and they want to scale up their devices rather than switching devices. They want to scale up the devices. What they do is nothing but after the updates which has been released, they try to give their own cloud. Please try to store that in the in the thing itself. Okay, looks like Darwin Box and Mega Drive. Okay, fine. I got some example. Okay, Spotify. Yes. Okay, that's good. Right, fine. So you already said a lot of examples, but I'm going to take the same example. What you what you already said. The first thing is all about Gmail, like the email cloud servers where you can store your emails, archive your emails, And you can also save your email as a draft, star the emails to make sure to store in the given sufficient space, right? 15 gigabytes of storage is being given for you. You can store anything as much as you can. And for storing those emails, you don't want to set up the infrastructure. Like you don't want to set up the hardware, you don't want to set up the software, you don't want to set up the storage. Like don't want to set up any storage in your laptop or in what can I say in your phones. Like that 15 gigabytes of storage is being provided for your provided by the data centers. So that's going to be termed as the cloud storage. What you're going to have, and Netflix or other OTT platforms. And as I said, I'm going to show you one example, right? Now Netflix is using AWS as a backend where they officially using AWS. You can also see the release, but it has been using more than what can I say? I'm not sure about the years. I think so 10 to 10 years or 5 years back, I think so. I'm not sure about the dates, years. Okay. So they are officially switched their on-premises servers to the AWS thing, where they've stored their videos, like what they push, like the movies and the series content, what they put. Um, they're stored inside AWS, and the videos are delivered on demand based on the users as the customers are asking based on the personalization. Because the customers may do have a lot of personalization. Yes, I do want to watch only crime-based movies. I do want to watch only horror-based movies. So based on that, the videos are segregated and delivered based on the personalization and the request made by the customers. And you also have other OTT platforms like Hotstar and Amazon Prime, etc. So today it's going to be the World Cup. We're going to let's say use uh, Hotstar to see your matches. I think so. I'm using what can I say Hotstar to see my matches. Right, fine. Now, right, so far so good. Like we learned about what is all about cloud computing and some of the basic examples, and in your day-to-day lives how you're using, and what is the main reason to fall back behind the what can I say on-premises infrastructure. Now let's see, right, how the cloud computing has been started or bloomed. Right, that's the major question. This started before going into directly into cloud computing. You need to know about how the computing has been evaluated. Like the evolution of cloud computing is very very important. The first thing is all about, right. You need to know once thing you need to know about is the sequential based computing. Anyone know in the like in the participants? Do you know about what sequential computing is? If it is okay, then I'll happy to hear from you. Does anyone know about what sequential computing is? Yeah, I know sequential is one by one, but how it has been allocated? Is there any else knows about sequential computing? Okay, I think so. I would answer. Fine. So, what is sequential computing is? Let's say you have lots of things, right? Let me give you an instance. You have a lot of resources. Let's say I'm gonna have a process. I'm gonna have a process called P1, process called P2, process called P3, and process called P4. Now I need to execute all these processes in my computer, right? So process one depicts some of the other things, process two, process three, process four, etc. Okay, so they are interrelated. I would say that they may be dependent or they may be independent. Like the P1 depends upon P2 or P2 depends upon P1 and the vice versa, or maybe they are not independent to each other too. Can be anything. But what in terms of sequential computing? This is the first computing what has been released or first computing which has been practiced a long back years ago. What happened in sequential computing is that the sequential computing can take only one process at a time, execute the process so that only one for that one particular process the resource has been allocated. Let me just switch my color of the pen. You may be able to understand it. Okay, what sequential computing does is that sequential computing takes P1 at a time called as T, and what happens is nothing but it just tries to execute the process. Okay, so then what P2, P3, P4 will do is nothing but P2 will wait until P1 gets completed. Only after P1 gets completed, the computer will allocate resources for the what can I say process P2, then the P2 will get started, right? So this is where one of the candidates said it's going to be one by one. Okay, it's going to be one by one, and P3 is all about P3 is gonna be executed after P2 gets executed. Right. So this is going to be transition from phase one to phase two to phase three to phase four. Only after the phase one, the what can I say, the before it's going to get completed. Right. Now, I'll also make sure that why sequential computing made a huge drawback in that particular scenario. The first thing is that the time taken by the process to get completed is enormously large. You can able to put that what can I say, definition under one name called as throughput, right? So the amount of work done in a particular given time, it's enormously large. Why? Because P2 has to wait until P1 gets completed. P3 has to wait until P2 gets completed. So it's going to be an enormous time. Each and every process takes what can I say, get executed. So the throughput is very high, and what can I say, the word of parallel computing may be another question mark over here in sequential computing. We don't have any kind of parallel things. P1 and P2 can't be executed parallel. Why? Because only when P1 gets completed, P2, the resources for the P2 get allocated, then the P2 gets, what can I say, gets started to execute. Right. Fine. So this is all about the first thing, which is called a sequential computing. Now, second thing is also I already said, the centralized computing. So from the word itself, you can able to understand what centralized computing is all about. So what centralized is? You may able to have a hub and hub center and the main center, main repository, main center. This hub will be connected with lots of processes or lots of computers. You can just say hubs is being connected with lots of computers. Okay. What happens over here is nothing but whenever a process, like whenever a computer wants to allocate a process, then the hub will allocate the resources to the process. And they can be parallelization too. They can be more than one computers can access the resources from the hub. But what happened? What is the disadvantage towards centralized computing is that the thing is, if the hub if the hub goes down, then all the computers which is being allocated or which is being associated with this hub will automatically destroy. So yes, so still we can't able to come to a conclusion. Yes, so sequential computing, the disadvantage of sequential computing is being recovered from the centralized computing by parallelization has been happening. But still, if one hub gets disturbed or gets damaged, the entire communication, the components which has been attached to the hub will be automatically disconnected or destroyed. Okay, then what is going to be the third one? The parallel computing. As I said, so at one particular point of time, more than one process gets executed in the computer, right? They're going to be parallel communication. So what may I say? At time t, both P1 and P2 get started, right? So at time t, both P1 as well as P2 get started, right? So which means that in terms of parallel computing, what may I say? In terms of parallel computing, the throughput has been decreased, right? The amount of work done in the given amount of time, so in the given amount of time is being increased. Why? Because the time needed for the process has been parallelized, has been given in parallel to the processes. But still, what may I say? Even if for instance, let me take one single thing. If I'm going to have a computer called a C1, but that C1 get destroyed, like unfortunately due to disaster, the C1 get disturbed or destroyed. So now the process which is being allocated for the computer C1 is not yet being carried over to C2 or C3, which is available inside the cluster. So still, the parallel computing gives us much more disadvantage, nothing but we can't able to say anything in advance, right? It might be in disaster which has been covered over there. So so now still we need to have another type of computing and another evolution of computing which can help us a lot. That's where the distributed computing came over. In distributed computing, if one of the computers in the cluster, if destroyed due to the disaster what we have occurred, then like the computer which is being interconnected with each other inside the cluster can able to take, or the processor which is being allocated for the computer C1 can be distributed across all the computers which we have. But 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 still the distributed computing is in terms of on premises. right? So we need to allocate all the resources manually, or we need to allocate all the resources in terms of physical storage space, right? So still, we don't want to be, we haven't came to a conclusion towards the what, how can we manage it? How can we push it to it? Fine. And cluster computing. So cluster computing is where the word as where the concept has been revolutionized. Where inside one single cluster, we do have lots of computers which has been arranged, or a lot of what may I say components can be arranged, where these components are connected towards the internet. Right? These clusters are maintained in such a way that they'll be connected towards the internet and they'll be sharing the resources what they need. Yes. So after that, what is all about grid? So the next computing which has been arise, which is called as grid computing. Inside grid computing, I'll return as a simple word for the grid computing, right? So different systems at different geographical locations are connected via internet. Yes. Why? Because so far so go, when I started to talk about sequential, centralized, parallel, distributed, cluster, I've said that each and every, or may I say, systems which are being allocated inside one single thing will be at the same geographical location. Haven't split them into different geographical location, right? But in terms of grid computing, when the grid computing has been arise, we can able to have different systems at different geographical locations. Let's say one system is at India, and another system is at Europe, another system is at what may I say US, etc. So these systems are connected through internet. So where the resources can be shared easily, but still, still it is an on-premise. We can like the what can I say? The geographical locations has been make sure that because we can work from anywhere, right? We can work from the city where we are where we live, but still we are working on the on-premises. That's where what can I say? Utility computing and cloud computing has been arise. And guys, I won't say what the difference between the utility computing and cloud computing. Go ahead and search for the difference between the utility computing and cloud computing. Why? Because now guys know about what is cloud computing. But utility computing and cloud computing are moreover one and the same, but there is a slight difference between utility computing and cloud computing, which may help you a lot to know the difference between those two things. Right? Okay, so this is how the cloud computing has been started. Starting with the sequential computing, the what can I say, the disadvantages of each and every evolution of computers, like the centralized one, how the parallel based running, how the distributed based running, how the resources have been distributed, and if any one of these systems or service systems get damaged or due to disaster, how the other systems which has been interconnected take the resources or take the process which has been what may I say take the process which has been running by the systems, the cluster, one single cluster which have lots of systems connected throughout the internet, grid computing, having some different systems at different geographical locations. So each and every disadvantages made a huge what can I say margin or made a huge market where the cloud computing has been stuck. So I think so Matt understood where we need to work on it. Right. So and before going into the three deployment models of the cloud, it's a very important thing, right? It can also what can I say? Since you're new to AWS, there are a lot of certifications available in AWS, starting with AWS Cloud Practitioner, AWS Developer Associate, AWS Solution Architect, starting with foundational one, associate level one, and what can I say? Specialty level one, professional level ones. There are a lot of certification series. I've covered all the certification series and what are the different job roles you can work with the help of the cloud. I've covered all those things in my demo batch. Please, 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 please have a look at the demo batch. Please try to make sure to what are the different roles of a cloud, different roles, like different job roles you can take that from cloud, and what is the certification pathway you have to go ahead, and what are the things you need to follow if you want to pick up and that particular domain. So has been already covered over there. If you want, so please, if you're not aware about the different job roles in AI cloud computing, please try to see that thing and get back here. Fine. So what are the three deployment models of the cloud? I'm so just to give me a minute. Fine. So there are three deployment models of cloud. The first thing is all about private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. There is one more model of cloud which is called as community cloud, but I'm not what can I say? I'm not going to cover that thing, but because that community cloud is not being what can I say talk a lot about in the particular deployment models, and even if you see a lot of things, these three has been standing as a major thing where you need to know about it. Private cloud, yes, from the NERM itself, you can able to see what private cloud is all about, which is designated for you or which is designated for the organization only. If the organization wishes that they don't want to share the data to the outside world, then they can make sure to use the private cloud. Or you can also use the private cloud, right? So if you want your data to be to be stored inside cloud, but you don't want to share the data to the outside world, then private cloud is the option where you need to have, right? And so the cloud is not being exposed by what can I say? Cloud is not being exposed to public. It has complete control over there, and it also meet the specific business needs what the organization, what the enterprises needs. And for example, Rackspace Cloud, one of the famous clouds providing companies. Rackspace Cloud is a private cloud service. Why? Because the cloud which has been allocated only for you, designated for you, where you don't want to share your resources outside to the public. So the mere opposite to private cloud is nothing but the public cloud, like what you have, like Google Drive, Box.com, Dropbox, etc., where you store your resources, and based on that, you will be sharing the resources to the public. But only when you make them as a public, you can able to when you can publish them as the as a public one. So and moreover, public cloud, like a lot of what can I say, third-party cloud service providers made the cloud resources to be more public so that you can wisely use it, and you can make sure to get benefited from that. So one of the example is Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and etc. And one more thing is all about public cloud. When you're talking about public cloud, you need to know about one important thing, which is called as the advantages of cloud computing. So whenever, like I would say, like when I'm teaching for students, then we getting to know about that. So when what is needed for you to get certified, like the first thing is you are supposed to know the basics. Like you need to know about some of the advantages, how the in terms of layman terms, how the advantages has been specified and by a lot of AWS, a lot of what can I say, cloud providing partners, right? So we'll also be covering the six advantages of cloud computing now. And the third thing is all about hybrid cloud. So tentatively, the tentative things is that an organization can able to store the 50 percentage of data or 50 percentage of resources in cloud, and they can also store the 50 percentage of resources in on premises. So they can be either of these two, like they can store in cloud or store in on premises, right? So why the organizations are moving for this hybrid cloud concept? The first thing is all about course and flexibility, and they can also have the control over the sensitive assets in their private infrastructure. Why? Because what enterprises will do is that they will store or they will migrate their non-important information, which is not having any sensitive assets to their organization, to the cloud. Why? Because most of the information is like if an organization want to store their important private information about the company, then they will go only for the on-premises. But because they won't take any risk over there, and they might give you another kind of things. Fine. So clear about three deployment models of the cloud? Okay, fine. So now let's see. As I said, in terms of public cloud, you are supposed to know about the six advantages of cloud computing. What are the six advantages? That's a very important topic. Like if you were aware about that, if you want to take notes, you can also take notes, guys. Why? Because if you're gonna attend your certifications, the first thing you need to there will be some scenario-based questions. With the help of scenario-based questions, only when you understand the topics, you can able to understand the scenario based questions which is being given to you, then you can able to write the correct answer. You could also suggest that first and last answer might be the same one, both the answers can answer the question, but according to the what makes the scenario which is given, only one answer will be there, only one answer will be the correct answer. So please make sure to understand in a way there you can able to answer those questions, and please try to take notes in such a way that where you can able to understand. Like what can I say? You can able to understand by yourself, and you can also make sure to understand the other one who's also learning new to the class, right? The first thing, the first advantages of cloud computing is that the trade capital expense for operational expense. What is all this? So trade the capital expense for operational expense. So first of all, when I learned the six advantages, I don't know about it, right? The first thing is all about that. That's why I split this into two different points. Pay on demand. You don't want to own any hardware for you. Like why? Because as I said, like you don't want to own any hardware. These things you don't want to own. Yes, I don't want to own any hardware. And you are supposed to pay on demand for the resources. On demand is nothing but whenever you need, you want to pay for it. After using it resources, you want to pay for that. That's it. That's the main go for that thing. And reduce the total cost of ownership and operational expense. What is the total cost of ownership is nothing but the TCO point is whenever you're building your own organization, what the total cost needed for setting up an entire server is called as the total cost of ownership. So when you're setting up your server in cloud, you can able to see the total cost of ownership as well as the operational expenses needed for your organization setup will be reduced. So that's a major goal about it. Yes, that's a major goal about cloud computing. What we are learning, we need to reduce the cost. First of all, we need to don't want to own any hardware. It should be all the things available in cloud. Yes, I admire that. So we should reduce those things. Then benefits from the massive economies of scale. Why? Because if I'm gonna create another company, like if I'm gonna create a company called as ABC, that companies have lot of users. Let's say at one particular for 1 hour, right? At 1 hour, it is gonna have almost 1 crore of users. So for that 1 crore of users, we need to have the particular amount of things, right? We need to work on that. So for that 1 crore of users, I need to what may I say in terms if I push them to the on-premises servers, then it will be a huge cost. Then I have to what may I say empty my pockets and everything which has been available in my pocket then will be what may I say empty. Then I can't able to provide those things. But in terms of cloud, what you can do is that you can reduce your prices if your economies are large. If you have large scale of the what may I say large scale of resources, right? You can able to reduce the prices with the help of AWS or with the help of cloud services what we have. Then third one, stop guessing capacity. But because if I just say if I'm gonna have 1 crore of users, I need to store only 1 crore of thing, right? I don't want to guess the capacity. If the number of users is going to be increased to 2 crores, I can able to easily scale it up. Okay, that's a very efficient thing. I can able to easily scale it up dynamically, right? So the scaling is very what can I say? It doesn't depends upon the static count what I have in my hand. So even if the what can I say users count has been increased enormously, I can able to scale it up. Why? Because it is going to be dynamic in my particular cloud services, right? So that's the third point where you need to know. Fourth one, which increases your speed and increases your agility. Sure. In terms of on-premises, when you compare with the cloud computing, the speed, like the speed of the resources, what you want to migrate to the cloud, the speed of the resources, what you're trying to use within your cloud is always, what can I say, always higher compared to the on-premises thing. And stop spending money running and maintaining your data centers. Why? Because all the cloud computing providers is gonna give you a data center, right? Can anyone say where the AWS data center in India is? Does anyone know that?
Mumbai.
Okay,
Mumbai, Chennai,
Chennai.
yeah, South India. Some
They are
In
planning
Chennai.
for Hyderabad also.
So they are already planned for Hyderabad. Right now they're gonna what can I say? 16 regions. I'm asking only for India, guys. Only for India. How many?
It's Mumbai.
Yes, it's Mumbai. And right now, they are already
Mumbai
planned it for
right now.
Hyderabad. Hyderabad is almost done, and they are planning to release that in what can I say? Planning to release that in the AWS Management Console too. So soon you'll also see one more what can I say data center from India from Hyderabad, right? Okay, so far so good. Fine. So then the last thing. Go global in minutes. Leverage the AWS global infrastructure. Guys, I do know you can't able to understand the last point. Why? Because we are going to talk about a lot about AWS global infrastructure today at this class. Why? Because AWS global infrastructure is the one you need to know everything. And I'll be teaching only some of the basic things. But in the course, what you're going to take after the free course ends, you'll be learning a lot, right? So go global in minutes. So these are the six advantages of cloud computing where you need to know. And as a part of starting build of the cloud computing, you need to know about how we are, what may I say, giving some kind of transition from on-premises to the cloud computing point of view. Fine. Okay. Now let's get into the main topic. So, what are the types of cloud computing? The first thing is infrastructure as a service. I'm sorry with the name. It's I think, but types of cloud computing services. The first thing is all about infrastructure as a service. So, infrastructure as a service is that you do have a cloud computing service in your hand, and that cloud computing service will provide you all the infrastructure what you need. For instance, your hardware, your storage, your networking, your OS, what you do need it. The service will provide everything what you need. For instance, in AWS, you have a service called as EC2, which stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. We need to do what can I say? Elastic Cloud Compute, where you can able to scale up your virtual servers from that thing. And second thing, platform as a service. Now you do have your code, like you do have your working application in your hand, but you don't know where to deploy your application. You need to know, you need to have a plan, you want a platform to deploy your application, then PaaS, the platform as a service is your solution. Platform as a service, the cloud computing service will provide you the platform where you can deploy your application and start managing that in your cloud services itself. And finally, the software as a service. You do have a complete pack of software available. You can use that thing and from the cloud. And example, as I said, low code and no code SaaS product, guys. So why? Because drag and drop features has been rising right now. Lots of companies are trying to move from what can I say, coding platforms to low code, no code platforms. And moreover, in terms of cloud associated low code, no code SaaS product, right? So please make sure to learn some, what can I say, consistency and transistence, and it might help you a lot too. And guys, I would say this is a huge topic. You need to know a lot in terms of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, which is nothing but this one. But I'm not going to teach you right now. Go ahead. You can also, what can I say, get the resources, get the resource, get this PPT from me. Um, I think so. The admin team will share you these PPT, right? So, but you need an explanation. You need to join the class so that it might help you a lot, right? Fine. Yeah. He has a big guy. So we have one more hour, right? Okay, we'll complete these two things. Fine. AWS global infrastructure. So far you guys said, right? You said about there are two data centers in India. One is at Mumbai and one is at Hyderabad. But actually, speaking about that, they are nothing but your AWS regions. Okay, they are nothing but your AWS regions, right? So that comes under AWS global infrastructure. So then what are all consists of AWS global infrastructure? When you're starting to know about cloud, what are the global infrastructure things you need to know about it? The first thing is all about the AWS region. And guys, and there will be a question for you too. How to choose an AWS region? After this thing, please try to answer the question at the last so that it might help me to give you an overview if it is needed. Or if you say the answer correctly, then I would say yes, that's the answer. Then we can move to the next part as quick as possible. First thing you need to know about is AWS regions, and second thing is all about AWS availability zones, which has been what can I say formally said as AZs. And throughout the course, or throughout the can I say weekend series, I'll be calling the availability zones as AZs, and AWS data centers, which is merely the availability zones, AWS edge locations, points of presence, and you can use this thing. Okay, I'll let me share my that global infrastructure page where you can able to work on that thing. Yes, you can able to see my global infrastructure page, right? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see.
The world map you can able to see, right? Okay, so this is all about the global infrastructure concept is all about. Why? Because AWS has made everything which is being available for us and which is most efficient to us. No, I can't able to see this thing. Okay, I think so. I'm sharing different thing. Okay, I think so.
We
Only
cannot see the world
PPT.
map, but we can see just this PPT slides with 20 slides on it.
One sec. I'll try to reshare it. One sec. I think so. Now I think so. You can able to see, right?
No, Rahul, it is not visible.
Oh, it's not visible.
Yes,
Now,
Yeah,
now
now it is visible.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
now it
sorry
is
Now
about
it
visible.
is
that.
visible.
Okay, fine. So this is nothing but a global infrastructure what AWS is given to us. Why? Because as I said, you said there will be two regions. One is at Hyderabad, launched in 2002, 2022, and in Mumbai, which launched in 2016. And you may able to see a lot of other regions like Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, we have one, and Thailand coming soon. Malaysia is also coming soon, and Germany also coming soon, and Canada West is also coming soon. So, and in terms of Auckland is also coming soon. Able to see AWS is leveraging, right? Why? Because in terms of these things, what we can able to see that if you are trying to use AWS cloud, as a some of one, how if you have answered that question, well, how to choose an AWS region, the first and foremost thing. But yeah, I said only one single answer. There are a lot of different perspectives where you need to choose an AWS region. The first thing is all about the distance, like the latency. I think so. Some of you answer right. Am I wrong? I'll okay, yes, nearest to one user, nearest one of the D location. Okay, so I've seen that nearest to a current location. Yes, I could able to see that thing. So first thing is all about distance between the user as well as the region. Why? Because even only if the distance between the user as well as the region is too small, we can able to easily communicate with the region and to make sure that we can able to have a high latency. That means sorry, we have to have the low latency. The delay will be as much as short as possible. Okay, so that's is all about regions where you can able to see there are 32 geographical regions in AWS global infrastructure right now, and with each and every region will have multiple availability zones. We can't able to so we've been able to see that in Hyderabad you have 2000 three availability zones, and in Mumbai you have three availability zones with two local zones, and in UAE there are three availability zones. So we can't able to judge how many availability zones are available in that particular. Okay, so we're able to see all those availability zones are there, but we can able to see, guys. So why? Because some of the coming soon, like since Auckland and what can I say, Thailand are coming soon. The phase of what can I say, availability zones may differ. Okay, the phase of availability zones may actually differ. Right, that's the important thing we need to know. Then the availability zones, which is nothing but your data centers. As I said, it's merely the data centers what you need to know. And the point of presence, as I said, the edge locations. The edge locations will represent another type of global infrastructure, the in location where you want to share your resources. And why AWS released the points of presence or edge locations in such a way that when we have edge locations, the sharing of data might be much more easily with low latency. That's why they've shared, but there is a huge concept behind edge location. Okay, but I'm not going to try over here. And you also have one more thing called as wavelength zones. You're able to see wavelength zones over here. Try out, go and see about, go and what can I say? Type AWS global infrastructure in Google. Try to see those things and get some knowledge behind it. So we'll try to what can I say? Make sure to what can I say? There are a lot of things which has been adding one more added by AWS right now to make sure to provide an easiest communication and efficient communication between the users as well as the region to make sure to you can able to use the services as quick as possible and as efficient as possible. This is what the cloud even not only AWS, a lot of cloud computing providers will be making make sure that to do that thing. Right? Okay.
So with low latency and high availability, right?
Yes, the same thing, the low latency and high availability. But there are other more things you need to know, like rather than this thing, like rather than the, I would say, like rather than the low latency with high availability. There are other reasons where you need to choose your AWS, other reasons where you need to choose your AWS regions too, right? So, but okay, I'll see one single reason. Uh, you could also say how to choose your AWS regions in such a way that not all the AWS services will be available in all the regions. Okay, for instance, I think so. A lot of you will know about what AWS Bedrock is all about, right? AWS Bedrock is a serverless service which takes you to provide, which helps you to run your GenAI applications. But Bedrock is not available in Mumbai. Bedrock is not available in Hyderabad. Bedrock is only available for the 5 different regions right now, and they're right now they're scaling up the Bedrock bit. So it depends upon this. What can I say? Services what you choose. Like if you're going to choose a service which is available in your nearest location, then you're supposed to use the nearest region what you have. If you don't near, go for the other region, go for the other region. So far, so go and go. Like that's the major thing we need to talk about that. And rather than that, there are other more reasons. We'll talk about that in the other classes too, right? Yes, you are supposed to, what can I say? Select different zone.
Yes, go
As I said,
పెట్టగా అయ్యే తాగాల్సింది.
yes, go ahead, go ahead. Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have to select a different zone. So our server never experience downtime.
Yes, that's it. There is one more concept called as AWS Global Accelerator, one of the servers which is available, which accelerates the performance on your different time zones and different, what can I say, different availability zones. So there also you might come to know about the server will experience some downtimes. So to make sure there, you have to switch your what can I say, the time zones too, right? You are supposed to switch your availability zones and the regions too. What about
And it
any
also,
what about any downtime in any AWS services? Can it happen? In
yes, it
AWS
can happen.
services, yes, we do have a lot of downtimes. Why? Because it depends upon the resources what you use for the particular AWS services, right? Why? Because the choice of resources is based on you, right? Like for instance, we're gonna build up in one EC2 server. That EC2 server has a lot of configurations. Like there are a lot of instance type. Okay, so we have C2X large, M2X large, and so free-tier service provides only some kind of what can I say, preferred number of resources. It can't give you more than more than n number of resources what you expect. So on that particular point of time, you what can I say? Expect some downtime in your AWS services. Your code will not work. Your resources, what you provision, will not be what can I say, successfully provisioned over there. Right? Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Rahul, are you sharing PPT screen or AWS infrastructure screen? Because
No. I'm switching it. I'm switching it. I think so. Now you can able to see the PPT thing. Right? Okay, so this is what we have seen so far, and you guys, what can I say, said about how to choose an AWS region, and the availability zones are nothing but the data centers which is available inside the regions. And what availability zones, the major cause about availability zones is nothing but if any one of the availability zones, and I want to give you another instance too, right? Let's take a region like UE West one. Okay, I'm not sure about the region name, but I know it's a region code. I'm sure about the region code, but I'm not sure about the region name. So let's say there are three availability zones. So A1, A2, and A3. Like let's take AZ1 and AZ2 and AZ3. And these AZs are interconnected with each others. Why I'm saying, just get you me just give me an why their AZs are interconnected. Let's say a disaster has been occurred at AZ2. Let's say it has some data like D1. It has some data inside D1. So this AZ2 has been, what may I say, has been destroyed due to disaster. Now we have to recover the data which is available inside AZ, right? Which is being stored inside the AZ2, right? Now AZ1 as well as the AZ3 has the capability to recover the data which is being stored inside the AZ2. Why? Because that's called as data replication over availability zones. where you will learn these data, or can I say replication over availability zones in all the database storage services. I would say in RDS, in DynamoDB, in S3, you will learn about replications. You will learn about same account replication, cross account application, and what can I say, cross account application, etc., and goes on. So when you are going about that service, you'll know much behind it. Fine. So one more important topic where I need to cover over here. I'll answer the question. I've seen some question. I'll answer the question after this topic. So the shared responsibility model. Yes, I'm understanding. Right. What is all about shared responsibility model? AWS provides us a lot of things. The cloud provider provides lots of things, right? They provide us the infrastructure, they provide us the database, they provide us the networking, they provide us the router, switch, DNS service, etc., etc. Then what is the responsibility of the users who are using the AWS cloud? This picture I've taken from the AWS official website. You could able to see what are the responsibilities towards the customer and what are the responsibilities towards the AWS. I'm very much fascinated about the word. So customers are the one who have the responsibility for the security in the cloud. Whatever data, whatever the platform, what are the applications you have been deployed, you have been put inside your cloud, you are responsible for them, right? For instance, the customer data, the platform or the applications, the IAM part. We are going to talk a lot about the IAM part, right? The platform, applications, what you have deployed inside your AWS cloud, you are responsible for that. Okay, AWS will not, or any other cloud will not give any other guidance to you to make sure that what is the responsibility. So you're supposed to have some security, right? If you are not aware about the data, then it's totally difficult for the thing. And what about that? So the client side encryption, the server side encryption, you are also put to know how about the network traffic protection, whether only HTTP should work over there, only HTTPS should work over there. So all those things, like you need to configure everything by yourself only. So that's where the responsibility for the security in the cloud is being provided, should be provided by the customers. Now you could ask the question, what AWS is going to do, or what cloud AWS cloud is going to do. The first thing is the first and foremost thing what AWS cloud is going to give you is that it provides security for the cloud. You are dependent upon the cloud. You are dependent upon the cloud where you need to deploy your application, put your data inside. You need to work on the operating systems, what you choose. You know what on the client side data, server side data, the network traffic, everything you depend upon the cloud. So that security should be provided by AWS, where the AWS will be responsible for the software, what the cloud is going to give to you, and how much storage needed. Yes, I can give. Like if you want to 10 gigabytes, I can give. That's my responsibility. If you want 20 gigabytes, yes, I can give. That's my responsibility. And if you want to scale up your resources from 10 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes, yes, that's my responsibility. I will scale up the what may I say resources what you need. And if you want to switch your regions from US1 to US2, yes, I can do. That's my responsibility. Whether you have to switch from one availability zone to other availability zone, yes, that's my responsibility. If you want to provide cross application, yes, that's my responsibility. So this is what the shared responsibility model is all about. The data, what you push in inside, what the data, like the security in the cloud has been the responsibility for the customer, responsibility by the customer, and the security of the cloud, which is being provided to you, is the responsibility towards AWS. And you guys, I'll mention one more thing. For each and every services, what we're going to cover in these vacancies, the AWS free batch, I'll be showing the shared responsibility model for each and every services. Make sure to understand what AWS can give to you, what as a user you are responsible for. Understand it, and please make sure to use the resources wisely. And you should not complain at last. I've used this resources. My billing has been came so much large. You should not complain me. Why? Because unless until please try to see your AWS budgets. Please try to see your AWS cost calculator. Just see everything in advance, then start working in the cloud. Okay, then don't complain me, or don't what can I say? Complain me at the last. You said this is going to be easy, but I've deployed, but my cost is too huge. You need to know everything. Like The concept, the understanding should be known in advance, not everything what I said in the first part of this class, right? Okay, so far so good. Okay, I'll answer the question. I just got some question. I'll answer the question. Okay. Does AWS use mesh network topology? Yes, yes. But it depends upon, as the admin says, yes, it depends upon the region. Why? Because why AWS is making use of all that mesh topology? I would say I would want you to go with that question. Why AWS is using? Not only AWS, I think so. Azure is also using the same mesh network topology over their Active Directories too. Why the thing is all about that? The first and foremost thing you need to know is that you can't able to specify only resources only one in one availability zone. It might differ, and you can't able to say that at one particular point of time all the three availability zones will get when I say destroyed. Right. So this is what I say, which is not coming to the point of mine. But what makes that mesh topology as in one other important thing? What makes another thing another important thing is that you can able to what can I say synchronously share your data within your other AWS availability zones. And what happens over there is that you can able to enormously scale up your data, enormously scale up your resources, what you have provisioned from your availability zones. So that made, and it also depends upon the regions what you have. Okay, as they said, and the regions may more specific to the resources what you use. As I said in the explanation too, the regions will be specific to the resources or the services what you use, right? So that's why AWS is using a kind of mesh topology in terms of availability zones and region concepts. So what about data security in AWS? I think so. Your answer is the section what we're going to try cover right now, which is nothing but the identity and access management. So listen it so you can able to understand how the data has been secure. Fine. So far so good, right? If anyone has any doubts, so that I can answer before going into the last section of today, the identity and access management. Guys, do you have any doubts? Okay, I think so. No one. Fine. Identity and access management. I think so someone has message. So my data is replicated among all the AZs within my region. Yes, you are supposed to choose it. I'm not saying that your data is replicated among all the AZs within the region. You are supposed to choose it. You are supposed to same account replication. Okay, you are supposed to choose it, right? That's what the thing what I'm trying to push it away. You are supposed to create a cross account like same account replication within the AWS AZs, right? That's what I'm trying to share. Okay,
One
so
more
that,
thing. So for the replication part, are we all all our data will be replicated from our end, or we can choose which data we can replicate or not?
mm,
Can we choose which
yes,
data we can replicate, or complete our complete
it
data will be
depends.
replicated?
No, it's not the complete data. You can choose yourself. That depends upon you.
Okay.
Like if I want, let's say, if you have an S3 bucket. Okay, if you have an S3 bucket called as what can I say, bucket 2021. Okay, if you want that only single bucket to get replicated within your AWS AZs, right? You can do that thing by choosing your account replication. But the thing where lot of data, but most of the thing, what they'll do something, but once they what they'll do something, but they will not try to I would just give you an overview, right? So what they'll do is that they actually put all the data in the in their application. Okay, in terms of overview, I'm saying because some of the what happens is if you choose only one specific data, then that one specific data will be available. If any of the what can I say disaster has been happened over there in the region or in the availability zone, you can't able to retrieve back as easy. Right. So moreover, what they'll do is nothing but they'll take all the data, they'll replicate towards the AZs, and they can also replicate to the cross accounts too. Not only to your account, you can also replicate your data to the cross accounts. There are also concept called as cross account replication is also available. So where your you user one and your company employee is another user two, you can replicate the data which is stored inside your account to the account which is available at user two. You both can be at different availability zones or different different availability zones, same regions might possible too. Fine.
Rahul,
One more
one
thing.
clarification. Replication of data in different availability zones will be charged more, or if we are using one availability zone for data, then the charge would be different if we are using
Yes.
multiple.
Yes. The charges
Uh,
depends upon the amount of thing you need to know.
my question is that once we means activate our replication, so it will replicate in our region all availability zones or on a particular availability zone.
I don't know how much availability
Use
zone you can
one
choose.
availability zone or
I
all
Let
the
me share
availability
you.
zone is
Wait, wait,
replicate.
wait. Let me share my AWS account. Okay, one sec. So this is my AWS account. You're able to see there are a lot of regions over here, right? How can you choose your? So there are 11 regions which is not enabled for this account. I've choose this one, and please try to help me towards that. How can I choose one single availability zone? There are three availability zones, so which can help us a lot. That's what. Okay, so okay, let's continue. We'll try to have the question at the last. Okay, fine. So identity and access management. So it's one of the important servers in AWS where identity and access management provides an overview of management level servers. Where, as I said, someone has asked one question: how security can be provided in AWS cloud? The first thing what you're supposed to work on is nothing but you're supposed to allocate or you're supposed to permit one particular user to access its resources. How we are gonna give the permissions? That's what the question. I will give you an overview, right? So what may I say? If you have like a resource called as R1, I'm not saying in terms of cloud, I'm saying in terms of generally. I'm gonna have user called as user one, and I'm gonna have the user called as user two. User one only has the access, like I'm the root person. I'm saying that only user one has the access to access the resource one. What I'll do is a thing bad. I'll give some permissions to user one in such a way that user one will access the resources called as R1. Where now you can able to understand why. So even with so now I'm not given any permission to user two. Now the user two cannot able to access the resources called as R1. This is the concept behind the identity and access management. Let me give you an instance. So let's say you're giving, like, let's say the organization has been built up and the organization has different users, like the employees. We need to provide identities to the employees. Why? Because each and every employee will be from the same company, and but they will be from the separate departments. Like they can be from admin, they can be from developer, they may be from what may I say um, testing domain. From anywhere they can come, right? So how far their identity are accessed? Why? Because I would say for developer, some kind of resources should be allocated. For admins, other kind of resources should be allocated. And for testing, like both developers resources as well as other resources will also be allocated. So how the resource is being allocated, how the identity has been given to the user in such a way that they can able to use, they will be in the particular group, and they'll start using their resources. And that's where the service called as identity and access management comes to existence, right? So what is all about identity and access management? So so it has been abbreviated as identity and IAM. So I would say it's going to be an identity provider, resource allocator, and security provider, right? So identity and access management is nothing but it provides an identity to the users, and it allocates resources to the users, and it provides security to the resources which is available inside your AWS cloud. Fine. So you know that I'm so right now I've shown you my AWS account, right? So that's the root account. whenever you create, you'll be created as a root account. With the help of root account, you can able to create your two important things will be shown as quick as possible. And you should not use, moreover, what I will say is nothing but don't use your root account when you are trying to practice your AWS services. Please don't try to use root account, or please don't share your root accounts to any other ends. Okay. And there are two main components in IAM, which is called as IAM users and IAM group. What I just said, the same thing. Like, let's take an instance. So let's take a group called as developers, and we have Alice, Bob, and Charles are available in the group called as developers. And let's take a group called as operations, where David and Edward are present inside the group called as operations. And we have group called as auditing, where Charles and David are present inside the group called as audit. And we have one more user called as Fred, who is not part of any groups. So from this thing, I can able to understand the what can I say, rules for IAM users and IAM groups. That is, the first thing is, an user can be a part of a group and cannot be a part of a group. It is not necessary, it is not mandatory in such a way that the user should be in the particular group. They can be a part of group, or they can also be cannot be also part of group, like Fred, how Fred is being there. Secondly, one user can be part of two groups, but one user can be part of two groups, but we can't able to have a group within a group itself. I don't have any other structure like this, a group within a group, right? This is not possible, but one user can be a part of two different groups, which is called as Charles, where Charles and David are like. So Charles is present inside the group called as audit team, as well as in developers, and David is in the group called as audit team, as well as in operations. So this is the rules behind the IAM users and IAM groups. Fine. Now we have set the groups, we have set the IAM users. How we are going to allocate the permissions? That's a very important thing. How we are going to allocate the permissions? Okay, how we are going to allocate the permissions? We are going to allocate the permissions with the help of one important structure called as JSON. Okay, so users and groups are provisions with permission to access the resources. Like, say, for an admin room, I'm gonna access the group to use the servers and database. So how I'm gonna access, how I'm gonna put the permissions, where with the help of the permission they can be use the resources, right? How I'm gonna do it? With the help of JSON policies. So policies are the one which will determine the permissions for the IAM users, and the policies are written in terms of JSON documents, which is nothing but the JavaScript object notation, where the key values which determine the permissions of the user, right? And moreover, in terms of AWS, we'll try to use the LPP, which is called as least privilege principle. That is, we don't give more permissions than a user needs, right? Let's say an user called as U1. It needs only the permission for server and database, where I only want to access, I only want to give the permission called as server as well as database only. Rather than that, I'm giving all the permissions like server, database, what can I say, machine learning, deep learning, everything like machine learning, everything what I'm trying to give. That's not the case where we need to work on it. Only the resources, what it is needed for the user, I need to allocate to him, right? So where we'll use the least privilege principle over there. And this is the example of an IAM policy, where you can able to see versions, statements, effect, action, resources, conditions are the, what may I say, the policies variables, the IAM policy variables where you need to know, but we are not going to cover in this part in this pre-batch, because as I say, I will say, guys, IAM is a huge ocean. Okay, whenever you start your new AWS certification, whether it is going to be CLF or developer or solution architect or either services, IAM will be in the newest stage. Why? Because permissions security is very important aspect in terms of IAM, in terms of AWS things. Okay, I'm saying that why? Because right now I've been what can I say, working with some of the professionals. They said that you can't able to confine IAM in one single box. Why? Because IAM is a huge ocean. We need to think of lot of use cases, lot of nuances over there, so that how can the permissions, how can we write the conditions over there inside the IAM policies is very, very important. So please make a note. This is not only IAM. This is a part. This is the, I would say, this is the introduction of the IAM, but there are a lot behind IAM. Right now, IAM policies inheritance. So what is IAM policies inheritance? What is policy inheritance? So policy inheritance is that, let's say, I have developer, I'm being allocated with one single policies, like they would access only servers as well as the databases. Audit team has the resources to access S3. Let me put like storage. Okay. I don't want to split the name of the servers. Okay. They have storage. And in terms of developers, they can work on server, they work on databases. And in operations, they'll try to use any other things like will we try to give some, okay, formation tools. They will work on the formation tools. Okay, formation tools. Now, what happens? Now, Alice and Bob are present inside the group called as developers. They are accessed with the resources with the IAM policies where which they can able to use the server as well as the databases. Edward is the one who is present inside the team called as operations, where he can use the cloud formation policies, what has been attached to the group. Okay. Now, what about Charles and what about David? Charles can able to access the developers based IAM policies, which is called a server and database. He can able to access both server and database, as well as he can also access the other storage networking, which has been allocated for audit team. Why? Because Charles is being a member of both developer group as well as the audit team group. And same
So
for
we are,
David. Guys,
sorry
can
for
we
the
have a question
interruption.
at the last? So,
Yeah, yeah, please.
yeah. So in terms of auditing, in terms of David, David is in being the based out of both audit team as well as the operations, where we can, where what can I say, David can able to use the resources, storage resources, as well as he can also use the formation based cloud formation resources too. Now, what about Fred? Fred is not being based out of any other group, right? Where for Fred, inline policies are assigned to him, so that only the one he can able to access this resources from. So this is the overall view about the IAM policies inheritance, right? And the IAM password policy. Why? Because whenever you are creating an IAM user, you are supposed to do that thing. So you are supposed to create a strong passwords with a high security for your accounts. You guys know how to set up your strong password for like every applications what you use. You try to set up your own accounts, like putting a minimum password length. It should be 8 characters in length, and it also contains of both uppercase, lowercase, numbers, non-alphabet. It's a combination of all those things. And what you are supposed to do is something, but you're also asked the IAM users to change their own password, right? And you also requires users to change the password after some time, right? Because password may be expired, and prevent the password for your reuse. Then the one more important thing, one more way to secure our IAM or root account. Okay, one more way to secure our IAM root account with the help of MFA. Guys, anyone know about what MFA is? Multi-factor authentication. Does anyone know?
Yeah, yeah. We
Second
have
layer
to
of
set up
protection.
the
We
credentials for logging.
Okay. Have you used any devices in your
Yeah, Microsoft
yeah
Enterprise
mobile.
Yes,
Authenticator I used to use for AWS access. Sometimes.
okay,
Google
fine.
authentication like those.
Okay, fine. That's good. Okay, fine. Now, how can users access AWS? Now, the question is, so far we learned a lot about it, right? We learned about what AWS is all about, what cloud computing is all about, and we talked about a lot about like global infrastructure and IAM. Now, as a user, let's say I'm the user, I need to access the AWS. I need to access the AWS cloud. How can I access it? First thing, as I already shown you, I can able to access the AWS cloud with the help of management console, which is being given by AWS. Am I right? Yes. So with the help of management console, I can do it. Second thing, with the help of AWS access keys, I can also, what may I say, uh, access my AWS cloud. With the help of AWS access keys, you can put that into a CDK, sorry, SDK, inside the software development kit, where you can use your programming languages to start scripting and start working with AWS Cloud. Or else you can also use your AWS CLI, which has been provided by AWS, the command and interface with the help of access keys, and you can provide your commands over there and start accessing your AWS Cloud. So I'm not going to cover any hands-on in this answer on this AWS free batch, but because this hands-on needs more learning, as I said, and I'm gonna cover these things in the next batch. What you guys gonna join. And the very important thing is, I would suggest, please don't try to use management console for your. Please don't try to use the management console for your uh, practice. Okay, if you're going to create your own POCs, okay, if you're going to create own POCs, please try to use either your CLI and more probably, please try to use your SDKs. Try to use any one of your programming languages, Python, Java, etc. And in Python, Boto 3 is available and you can only use those things. My personal suggestion, guys, please don't try to use Management Console. Moreover, I'll also be switching with AWS CLI with Management Console and as well as with SDKs. And maybe most prominently, I'll be using Python and also giving some scripts to try to make sure to you can also try to work with the thing, but not in the free batch. I'm not going to cover that in the free batch. Okay, fine. So as I said, you can able to access your AWS accounts with three different options. One with the help of AWS Management Console, and one with the help of AWS Command Line Interface, which is protected by the access keys, which is being provided for your designated users, and AWS Software Development Kit, like for the core, what you're going to work, provided by the access keys. And access keys are generated through your AWS console. And a very important thing, please don't share them. Okay, please don't share the access keys. Why? Because some of them, they may use your access keys to access your AWS account, and they can put an enormous bill for you. Okay, then you are supposed to pay. Okay, access key ID is tentative your username, and secret access key which is being provided for you is the password which is being used to access your AWS account. Now, things to know more for AWS CLI. Okay, the thing is, what are you supposed to know for your AWS IAM, like in terms of IAM for your AWS CLI, which I'm not going to cover in this free batch. The first thing, the IAM roles for services. Okay, I'm not going to say one, you can just go ahead. Okay, it's very, very important, guys. Why? Because even if you want to, what can I say, go ahead in your career, go ahead in your certification overview, you need to know about AWS roles. And sorry, you need to know about IAM roles. And the roles concept will be available in every point of time what you're working on it. Okay, it's very, very important if you're new to your higher level perspective in the AWS cloud certifications, as well as in your career. If you want to move your career in cloud, you need to know a lot about IAM roles. And you are supposed to know about the IAM security tools, which is nothing but the credential report, as well as the access advisor, where the access advisor will let you know about the policy formulation and the policy validation, and will also help you to know about how you are extended to other AWS services. There are a lot behind it. You need to know about the policies, right? You need to know a lot of policies in access advisors, right? Fine. The next thing is all about STS, the security token service, but this is not for AWS CLF. AWS CLF doesn't have the concern about security token service. And we have same account application, cross account application, and a lot of APIs which is available in security token service. You're supposed to know that thing and more. As I said, IAM is an huge ocean. IAM is a huge ocean. You need to know a lot about IAM, right? But I've covered only the, what can I say? I would cover 0.5 percentage of IAM. I would say 0.5 percentage of IAM I've covered today. That's it, right. Fine. As I said, at end of each and every services, we're gonna have the shared responsibility model for IAM. It's a short responsibility model. So now we're gonna have for IAM service the shared responsibility model. Now, what AWS is gonna provide? So AWS is gonna provide you the infrastructure, the global network security, and it's also going to give you the configuration, the compliance validation, everything based on the what AWS is going to give. It depends upon what the responsibility towards AWS is that I want to provide you the infrastructure. That's it. But as a user, what you're supposed to do? You are supposed to create your users, you are supposed to create your groups, you are supposed to create your roles, policies, you are supposed to enable MFAs, and you are supposed to rotate all your keys. You are supposed to use the IAM tools, access patterns, review the permissions, appropriate permissions should be applied. Everything depends upon you. Okay. AWS will not take any responsibility towards that. If you do anything wrong, that depends upon you. You don't want to complain AWS for this thing, right? So this is all about the shared responsibility model for IAM. Right, so that's the end of the session. Let's take a quick recap what we have seen in the section. We have seen what is cloud computing, how does RISE, what is RISE. We saw about what how on-premises on-premises servers made a huge difference margin towards cloud computing. What are the disadvantages we learned? And we talked about what cloud computing is all about, how we are trying to use it in our day-to-day activities. And in terms of what is RISE, right? We talked about the evolution of cloud computing. We talked about sequential, centralized, parallel, distributed, and we talked about grid computing, we talked about utility and cloud computing, where I asked you to surf and get to know about it. So this is what how cloud computing evolution of cloud computing has become. Then we talked about the six advantages of we talked about the three deployment models of cloud. We talked about public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, and we talked about the six advantages. And I said it's very very important if you want to get to know about what is in the certification overview behind. You are supposed to know those things, and what can I say? So you need to know about all those things and the layman terms. What are the things you need to know? We have covered that thing, and three different types of cloud services. We talked about AWS. What can I say? Infrastructure as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, and what different different perspective what those services going to do for you. And we talked about AWS global infrastructures. We talked about regions. We talked about availability zones, the replication point of view, data replication, cross account replication, same account replication. We talked about point of presence, which is nothing but local zones, and for low latency and high availability, we talked about that. And we also talked about the IAM, like we talked about the IAM management tool, which is available for the security, where we talked about IAM users, IAM groups, what are the rules behind IAM users and IAM groups, and how you're going to allocate the permissions to this. I'm going to allocate the resources to the users with the help of the permissions, and how we're going to allocate the permissions with the help of the policies. What are you going to generate, which is in JSON format, and what is the structure of a JSON, and what are the policy variables like conditions, yeah, even actions, everything, and accessing. How can you access AWS with the help of access keys and with the help of management console, software development kit, etc. And that's all for now. And now, if you have any questions, I can answer. So if you have any questions, I can answer.
Yeah, hello. Uh,
Yes.
is here in this AWS module will include the scripting?
With scripting, I can't even do understand.
Scripting like
CLI,
oh,
CLI.
CLI scripting.
Yes,
Yeah, we are trying to put it in the CLI scripting only. I can't even understand your question correctly. Go ahead.
so through scripting, how do we access in AWS? Can you
Yeah.
explain that?
So with the help of AWS access keys, as I said, you are supposed to create your own account with the help of your own, what can I say, debit cards or credit cards, and you are supposed to
Yes,
create your own account. After creating your own account, AWS will allocate you the access keys, the secret access keys, and access IDs, right? So
yes,
after that, with the help of access keys and access IDs, do have commands in AWS CLI, as well as you also have a type code available in Python or other programming languages. Right. With the help of that, you are supposed to write over there, and that's the thing you need to access it. Yes, I'm not. Yes, I told that you should not use AWS console. Yes, I'm correct. Yes, you are. Because AWS, when you're in the working environment, that's why I've said right. When you're in the working environment, I would actually say that using of AWS management console will be a more chaotic. Why? Because uh, the thing is, you are supposed to communicate with the cloud, by not using the management console. You are supposed to use access keys and try to go programmatically, try to go professionally. That's what the thing is. And let me try. Okay, I'll also try to work without using a console in coming classes, but it depends upon that. Okay, I'll get to know about it. Sure.
Anyways, we'll be
There's a very
getting
last question.
Through scripting,
You
sir.
will have,
Through scripting, how, sir? We can use Python.
Yeah, you can use Python. Yeah,
so there's a
you can
very
use
last
Python.
question. Is disaster recovery as a service is also an AWS service?
Disaster recovery. What you are talking about? Disaster recovery. Disaster recovery as a service is not a service, but it is available as a feature in AWS.
Okay, it's a built-in feature
EBS, sir.
of AWS.
Yeah, yes. Not only in
EBS, sir.
AWS, you see a lot of disaster recovery in all the cloud providing platforms. Why? Because it's one of the major thing what may I say cloud providers should work on it, right? Even if you are going to provide your cloud, okay, if you're going to provide a cloud to the user, cloud to the user, right? Then what happens? You're supposed to provide all those things in advance. If your user is gonna use it, then it's a feature where you need to allocate that. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Is
RDS,
there anything?
did you know about RDS?
Yes. You need to know about what RDS is all about.
Yes, yes.
RDS is in relational database servers, right? Which where you can able to store their let's say tables in AWS Cloud.
It is like yesterday, right?
No, it's not like REST.
Okay.
So in this course, are you providing migrations also? Migrations topics?
That's what the thing is all
Migration.
about. The thing is all
Yes.
about that. If you start doing your migration, right, your pockets will be empty. Okay. Why? Because to do your migration, any cloud will not, right, what may I say, will not provide any free consumptions for you. You are supposed to pay for that.
Okay.
Okay, that's what. And for the average salary standard, you can get to know about the demo batch what I conducted, where I've set all those average salary standard. So you can use those things. Will it be
So the
more
coming
easy?
class,
Will it be more easier to access AWS console other than using AWS CLI where we need to execute codes? How was the how will the cloud work with edge data center infrastructure? Okay, you'll be seeing that in the next upcoming classes. Okay, because in edge data centers is a very important concept, and in term that's why the edge locations has been introduced as well as the wavelengths has been introduced. Okay, in terms of global infrastructures, the wavelengths as well as the edge locations have been introduced. Right. So we'll try to cover that in the sessions because a separate a mod like a section of contents is being given to them because we have to cover the entire basic thing what we need to maintain that thing, right? So we'll try to do that thing. And Rise with SAP is on AWS. Yes, yes, I would say like because there is one more company where I was communicating with them, like for the SAP part. Right? So for the SAP part, they've said that they're using their own cloud, right? But SAP now has been more sophisticated and now being more risingly used. Okay, and but what in terms of AWS is that most of them are trying to what can I say admire that, try to use that SAP, but I'm not seeing much of the resources which is available in AWS. But towards my consumption, okay, we can I don't know how it is like towards my consumption, SAP in terms of AWS, been able to see that not much boom it is available. Okay, so is there any questions?
when will be the next section?
And the next session will be in coming Saturdays and Sundays, weekend batches. Okay, so only in the weekend batches and Saturdays and Sundays. So within this free batches, I'll try to cover the entire thing, like to make sure to give you an overall perspective. But what can I say? I can't able to cover. What can I say? The deeper concepts, what you needed for your certification. That's the major goal for this thing. And also
Okay.
try to give you the CLI commands too, if it is available, if it is possible, not available. I do have it. If it is possible, I'll try to give the CLI commands. But let's see how the time goes, right? Okay, fine. Okay, guys. Okay, I think so. Um,
Hello.
I think yes.
Hi, sir. One last question. Like, uh, are you going to provide any certification by the end of this course?
I think so. You should ask to CDP. Okay? Whether
Yes,
they are
we
going to
Okay.
have
cover it.
certificate.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
CDP will be giving you the certification. But if you want your
Uh-huh.
official certification, then you are supposed to prepare a lot. Okay,
Oh, okay.
you are supposed to write exams too for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So let's wrap up the session. I think so. Everyone is fine with the questions. I think so. And try to have your questions, and you can also. I think so. CDP. Is anyone in the admin team?
Yeah,
Yes. So are you going to create a Telegram group, right?
we have a WhatsApp group.
I think so. Okay. Okay. I'll communicate with them, and you can also post your questions there. So feel free. I'll feel free to answer those questions. So we'll be
Yeah.
staying in touch for the questions too. So I'll answer for my knowledge, and if it is not there, sure. I'll search for you. I'll what me say. I'll surf in the internet, and I'll give you the entire correct explanation what you needed. Right. And I think so. Please try to give them the demo session one more time, right? Because they're asking for the what may I say, the salary ranges and the different types of scopes which is available in AWS
We
Cloud.
already shared in the group, but what I'll do now, but I'll share you, I'll share again in the group. And also for the one user query was there for the training, sorry, certificate. So there will be a small exam. Based on that, you will get a certificate. And also we will make sure we will make our group public so all users can comment. It's an admin only comment right now.
Okay, plan accordingly, and we'll try to we'll see it in the next weekend. When is in the next weekend? I think so. Yes, 25th. Okay, we'll meet at 25th of November. Okay, thank you, and
Thank you, sir.
okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
You all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you for your time and this session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj bhai. Thank you, everyone.